Hello everyone and welcome to yet another episode of The Creative Heart. My name is Gideon and I'm also known as Gideon Slight and I'm your creatively fit coach. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we are busy with our compositional series here in our heart prompt range that we are exploring this year. And I'm halfway through my art journal already, so this is exciting as I turn a new page in my self-made concertina art journal. And we are exploring today overlapping frames that looks a little bit like this. So overlapping frames can be quite a lot of fun to use as a prompt for composition, and really you're using vertical and horizontal lines in a variety of ways to create an interesting composition. So that is exactly what I'm going to be showing you this week in my art journal. So I want to invite you to join me on this creative journey and use the creative prompt that I share with you every week to maybe go to your art journal and inspire a page. So if you play along, do take a photograph and share it with me on my Creative Heart group on Facebook, where I can support you, right? That's what it's all about: community, having fun, exploring new ideas and growing in our art, hey? That's a lot of fun. So give me a second as I turn the camera around and I'll show you exactly how I created this page. I'll see you now. Good afternoon everybody. This is exciting. It's always fun for me to share with my community, and today we're going to play in our art journal and we are going to be using overlapping frames as our compositional prompt to play. So this is fun because you can basically use any shape that you want, but the idea is that they overlap and form an interesting pattern or composition in the end by overlapping vertical and horizontal lines in an interesting fashion. So that is going to be where we are going to be starting today. So that is exciting, and I thought to start off our program today, I want to just do a flip through because we are halfway in playing with this journal, and then I obviously still want to decorate the outside a little bit further and really bring this to completion, but that's going to be another episode. So for those of you who are joining me today for the first time, welcome to my channel. I am all about empowering the creative heart, and I do that in an art journal because I think it is an invaluable tool to any artist to explore your own art and develop your own art ethos and your own art language, and to do that without fear of being ridiculed or made fun of, as you explore your own creative psyche. So we started in January and we are already in week 31, and this last 31 weeks has been a lot of fun to explore all of the above. So this particular series is all about composition, and I created this homemade art journal out of recycled paper. You can check out where I created this journal in an episode earlier. You will find it in my playlist. Just look for how to make your own concertina art journal, and you will find that. I'll also provide the link in the description of this video so that you can find it. And yes, you can delve in at any time, enjoy an episode, use the creative prompt, go to your art studio and play in your own art journal or on a canvas, whatever you fancy. And when you are done creating whatever you think is sort of what came out of you, through you, and what you created on your page, take a photograph and share it with me on the Creative Heart. That is my private art group on Facebook. That is where I can support you in your journey. Just add to your post which week of the creative prompt you used, and then we can all enjoy your version of it. Right, so this was week 1, and we did an L or cross shape, and that was quite a bit of fun. And I also make my own collage papers, and that's just another way to make sure that whatever you use in your collage or in your art journal is all your own property, or it's used in such a way that you completely transformed it. This was my week 2, and I like to just keep these tissue papers in between the pages so that the collage elements don't stick to the pages. And in this page we played with a diagonal composition, and I was inspired by the Golden Gate Bridge, and that was also quite a bit of fun. So all of these episodes are in this creative prompt playlist, and also in the compositional playlist. Then next we explored a circular composition, and the whole idea of circles inspired a whole series, which is quite a lot of fun. And I even made a painting that will be on sale on my art exhibition that's coming up on the 2nd of September. And then we went ahead and we used horizontal composition, and it really gives us a grounded feeling with horizontal lines. Let me just put this away. And then we came to our asymmetrical composition. That was a lot of fun to work with two bodies of focus, and also to use that rule of 3 or the asymmetry of it. And I realized when I looked at the video myself, this looks like a shoe print of a big person, like, you know, the footprint and the heel. I don't know, that's a pattern that I saw that I didn't even realize was emerging from the page. So it could also be representing, you know, a journey, a footstep in the right direction, you know. That is interesting what your mind can make out of lines and shapes and what comes forward for you. And then last week we played with the last page on this side of the concertina journal, and we played with an S-shape composition that is also quite popular in landscape paintings. And the collage was a lot of fun because it turned out to be a little bit of a pond with water lilies and a walkway. So that was a lot of fun, and I really feel that I've learned a lot through this exploration in my art journal. And now it's time to continue the journey by opening another page in our art journal. And today we're going to do that not cross form, overlapping shapes. Now, I did want to discuss something with you that I know is also very important in composition, and that is the golden rule that basically divides your page into very specific zones. So I basically want you to imagine that you can divide your page into 3 equal zones. It doesn't have to be exact, just, you know, give you an idea. And where these lines overlap, you will find very special zones or golden zones on your canvas. That is the best place to put some of your focus points or areas where you want to put emphasis or a focal point. Okay, so as we're going to be overlapping with vertical and horizontal lines, you want the journey as you play with your collage or your paint elements to create a visual interest in one of these areas. Now, it's going to be very busy if there is something in all 4 of these areas. So I want you to basically pick one. And so, okay, I want my main focus to be here. Um, and you play with that rule of creating then a story that leads the viewer's eye, but you have emphasis or focus on one of these zones, and that will ensure a success in your composition. But we're going to see what we are going to be doing and what we're going to be using out of my collage collection to create this composition today. But I thought before I start digging out paper, I want to have a sip of coffee. That's a good place to start. I hope you also have something to drink. And I'm just going to bring out my prompts, and I'm going to really open this up today and see what prompts we're going to draw that will help us begin our composition. Now, this is a system that I am still developing for myself, so I've made these little Hamsa cards for creating greeting cards for my exhibition, and I've created so many that I thought I don't want to throw it away or keep it in a box. Let's start playing with it. So I created my prompt system out of it. So I want to just draw a few. So we've got a square, and that will be very helpful in our journey today because we are doing overlapping vertical and horizontal lines. Let me see. This one is drawing my eyes. Analogous color. Okay, so that's a great tip because analogous color mean you must use colors that lie next to each other on the color wheel. Okay, so that's going to be fun. So let's see if we can draw an actual color. Let's see this one. Oh, the color green. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got 3 prompts that I think gives us a good direction today. So we're going to be playing with the color green, and we're going to play with some square shapes, and we're going to choose an analogous color scheme. So if the color green is on our color chart, I'm just going to put it here on the main green color. Then we can use a yellow green, we can use a blue green, and you can even go as far as going to a yellow and a blue. So you're literally staying on that side of the color wheel, and that can be an analogous color scheme. So that's going to be fun. Okay, so we are going to use that as our creative prompt to get this journey started today. Let me just put all of these cards away. And I think what I'm going to do to get this creative journey started today is I am going to paint my background a green so that we have a nice foundation to start with. And I think I must do something with depth, either light or dark, so that whatever we place on top, we can have a nice contrast and movement. So that is what I'm going to do now. So when I return, I will have this background painted, and I'm going to draw some papers out of my collage collection in order to get this overlapping composition going for today. So I'll see you guys now. Right, so now that I have painted my background, I played with emerald green, a little bit of pearl, bright green. I've got some Payne's grey and a medium grey that I used to create a variety of shades, and I also applied my paint quite vertically so that my background can already support what I'm going to be doing on top. And I reiterate, this is all experimental. I've never done this particular thing before, so I'm really just responding in the moment to what is happening on my page. And I did use a little bit of the darker paint in the center so that it sort of drops away, so that our attention is pulled to one of these, you know, four corners in our golden ratio. I also wanted to share with you guys, I just pulled this off my wall. This is one of those smear off pages that I love to create while I'm painting. Because I work in small little spurges, I sometimes have paint left over, and instead of allowing it to dry in my palette, I basically just rub that paint off and allow it to dry on paper, because then later when I feel that I have developed the paper enough with all of the leftover paint, I've got a fabulous collage element that I can then use in my work, and therefore that paint was not wasted and thrown away. It actually gets used. So initially it might feel to you like, oh my god, I'm wasting a lot of paint, I'm just smearing it on a rub off page. But I know in my world that this will come back to my collage and to my art journal, and it will actually get used. So this is still some of that recycled paper that I get at my hair salon that I continue to use, because it's better than to, you know, throw it away and it lands up in a landfill. So I have an abundance of free art resources because I use it in this way. And I mean, this entire art journal is constructed out of this paper. So again, you know, I feel it is my way to minimize my carbon footprint on the earth by using what I have at my disposal instead of just throwing it away. So I hope I inspire you to also maybe look at using materials that you maybe get in boxes that you order online, and instead of throwing that material away, maybe see what you can do with it in order to create art that you maybe can you know, sell, or whatever the case may be. So I'm definitely going to be playing with this. And then I also dug through my box, and I do like a little bit of contrast. Even though we're doing analogous with the greens, I do feel you need contrast as well. So all of these little snippets of previously used paper, some of these things you've seen in the previous episode with the S shape. This is literally where I got my water lily pads from. It was a piece of ordinary office paper that I used my fingerprint on. I dipped it in some ink and pressed it on there, and when it dried I came back with a lighter paint, and that created this very beautiful little shape with imprint of my fingerprint, which I think is beautiful, that beautiful line. So anyway, this is also left over from last week. So on the analogous color scheme with the green, you can see that, you know, if I cover up this part of the color wheel, that all of these colors are up for play. And even though there are some warmer colors in the background, it really lifts the greens out of the page. So I'll choose zones on this that really speaks to that green, and if a little bit of orange or red or purple shines through, it's okay, because it's going to bring us a bit of contrast and a pop of color. So you will see as I, you know, go through this that it's all familiar if you've been watching this series at all. Nothing of these papers are new. when I create some new art material papers, I will record it and put it as an open studio session for you guys. So this was also just literally a print that I did like that and smeared it open, and there you have that. And we've seen all of these pages before. Now this one is one that you might not have seen before. Again, I played with ink and lots of water and created this interesting little page. So I'm going to be playing with all of these pages today to create our shape composition here, where we overlap each other in horizontal and in vertical fashion. So without any further ado, I'm gonna just pause the video and restart it so that I can fast forward you through this whole thinking process. And while I do that, I might do a voiceover to explain a little bit more if necessary, but let's get to it. Right, we've come to a very nice place, I feel, in this composition, and now I have to focus on bringing this all together with a main focal point. And I just allowed this page to dry a little bit. It's not completely dry yet, but it's dry enough for me to add a final collection. I went through my stash and I got this little piece that I think is really beautiful, but then I felt the white was a little bit too stark, so I was looking for another piece that I can use in some way to just bring back the green and quiet down a little bit of that white. And I did want to use this piece of beautiful gold over that. And then this is a little piece of watercolor paper. I created all of these interesting shapes, and I've been wanting to use this little piece forever because I just love it. And I just never could find the correct collage for it. And today it came back into my memory bank and I was like, oh my God, this will be perfect today to use that as the final little piece that will bring all of this together. So I am gonna go ahead and glue this down, and then I will see if I'm gonna play with my oil pastels in any way, shape or form, because I do feel this is quite busy and colorful enough, so it might not need anything else. But you can clearly see that all the attention is then drawn to this corner. I'm just gonna decide when I glue it exactly how far and how deep. And then what we have is a beautiful focal point that demands most of the attention. And maybe I'll draw a line or two with maybe some of my oil pastels, you know, just to sort of communicate and bring some lines through there that connect my secondary point, and then the rest is based in the composition. So I'm going to do that for you guys, and then I'll wrap this session up for today. And there you have it. This week's Creative Heart prompt was all about overlapping frames and using horizontal and vertical lines to create these overlapping shapes. So we also chose out of our prompt box the color green, and also to use an analogous color scheme, which means that the colors lie next to each other on the color wheel like here. And also another one of my prompts was a square shape. So you can see there's a beautiful square negative space here in the middle of my composition, and as we zoom out you get a lovely sense of overlapping lines and frames that each holds a beautiful composition of color, texture, shape and form. And it all comes together in our main focal point, which I've placed emphasis on with this gold square and this very interesting collage element that I created using watercolor and inkwork. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode, and that you will join us again next week for another episode of The Creative Heart. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye for now.